If you're a parent, you absolutely know the feeling. You're pushed to your absolute limit by a toddler who seems to be negotiating like a tiny, relentless lawyer. Today, we're going to completely reframe the way you look at those exhausting, boundary-pushing behaviors. We'll do this by looking directly at the developmental research. We are going to unpack what's really going on beneath the surface of all that chaos. Let's get right into it.
If you've ever felt the deep, bone-tiring exhaustion of being constantly cross-examined by a toddler, or, watch them methodically dismantle a cabinet right after you specifically told them not to, you are definitely not alone in asking this question. You might have even put a physical lock on that cabinet, only to watch them sit down and study it for 20 full minutes, treating it like a complex puzzle just begging to be solved. And when you inevitably find the contents of that cabinet spread all over the floor yet again, it's so easy to wonder, is something broken here? But what if something is actually very, very right?
Section 1. Misjudging bad behavior. Let's explore how the behaviors we're quickest to label as problems might actually be something far more extraordinary. A fascinating study at Vanderbilt University looked at early cognitive development, and they found a really stark difference in how children test boundaries. Now, every toddler breaks rules. That's a given. It's totally expected. But average toddlers generally break rules on pure impulse. Their brain says reach, and their hand reaches. But highly intelligent toddlers do something else. They commit what researchers call intentional rule violations. They break the rule deliberately, just to test cause-effect and adult consistency. They basically want to see if the rules are fixed or if they're a little bit flexible.
And the biggest clue comes right after the rule gets broken. When your child tries to justify breaking a rule with the word because, even if their logic makes absolutely zero sense to you, they really aren't just being defiant or manipulative. Think about it. They had to notice the object, form an opinion, decide to act, and then justify it. They are literally running a physical experiment. They're showing you the very first rough sketches of independent, critical thinking, way before their emotional maturity is actually caught up.
Moving on to Section 2, Signs of a Gifted Mind. So, what does this actually look like day to day? Let's check out 5 unexpected markers of a highly intelligent, gifted toddler.
Research points out that what looks like a stubborn or overly dramatic toddler is actually just a brain moving way faster than its environment. Take that epic meltdown over the wrong color cup or a scratchy sock seam. That is sensory processing sensitivity. Mundane things literally feel unbearable to their highly attuned nervous system. Or maybe they remember the exact words you said months ago. They might also fiercely resist transitioning from playtime to dinner, and that's simply because their neural engagement in whatever they're doing is so incredibly deep.
Now, to an adult, being asked why for the 15th time before 8 a.m. feels, frankly, like a form of torture, right? It just feels like stalling or attention-seeking. But to them, their brains are actively constructing a model of the universe. They want to understand the actual mechanism, not just the conclusion. So their endless questions are not a distraction from development. They literally are the development.
Researchers at the University of Chicago actually call this systematic object manipulation. So, when they take apart your expensive TV remote, they aren't trying to ruin it, they're actually speaking the early language of engineering. They are running a physical experiment to see exactly what happens if a specific part bends or gets removed entirely. Next time, look at their face when they do it. That's not guilt you're seeing, it's the intense, focused look of pure discovery.
Section 3. Out-of-sync development. To truly understand the intense frustration and those massive meltdowns that come with raising these kids, we really need to look at asynchronous growth.
Asynchronous development simply means being out of sync. You see, a gifted child doesn't develop uniformly across the board. Chronologically, they might be 8 years old. Intellectually, they might function like a 12-year-old mastering a complex game of chess. But emotionally, they might react like a much younger child when they actually lose that game. It's like they are many different ages, all at the exact same time.
And this out-of-sync growth leads directly to what's called overexcitability. Their theory of mind, which is their ability to read social cues, empathize, and understand fairness, is operating in high definition. They can vividly model another person's internal pain or recognize a deep injustice, but their emotional regulation system simply cannot yet handle the massive weight of what they're observing.
Which brings us to a really profound realization. When a toddler completely falls apart because another child was treated unfairly, or maybe a rule changed mid-game, it isn't immaturity or fragility. It's advanced social-emotional processing happening way faster than their ability to self-soothe. The gap between what they can perceive and what they can actually carry, well, that is exactly where the meltdown lives. Section 4, the danger of misdiagnosis. This brings us to perhaps the most critical and high-stakes part of this explainer. What happens when professionals fundamentally misunderstand these intense, asynchronous behaviors?
Unfortunately, doctors and educators frequently mistake the inherent strengths of a gifted child for deep psychological pathologies. High motor activity and sharp impatience often get labeled as ADHD. A child who is exceptionally strong-willed and questions authority because of their intense idealism, they might get slapped with an oppositional defiant disorder diagnosis. Even their natural drive to organize and systematize their world can get mistaken for OCD. It's a tragic misunderstanding of their true developmental baseline.
I mean, just imagine spending half your day just waiting around. When these kids enter traditional schooling, the environment often fails to match their pace. Research indicates that gifted children can spend up to half of their class time just sitting there, waiting for the instruction to move forward. This chronic boredom and lack of adequate stimulation leads directly to frustration, behavioral acting out, and, sadly, severe social isolation from kids their own age.
Tragically, this mismatch leads to devastating outcomes. 4.5%. That is the percentage of all high school dropouts who are actually gifted students. They end up leaving the system entirely because their unique needs went chronically unmet, misunderstood, and misdiagnosed.
Section 5. Nurturing the gifted child. So, how do we solve this? How do we empower these minds and support them before their incredible potential is pathologized or crushed entirely?
First, we have to understand their stimulation threshold. Highly intelligent toddlers require far more environmental complexity before their brains can finally settle into calm. An underoccupied gifted brain will literally generate its own curriculum out of whatever raw material is available, and usually that means your patience and your boundaries. We have to proactively match their environment to the actual speed of their mind.
By following a few counterintuitive steps, we can change this entire dynamic. First, give language to their feelings. Saying something like, "I see why that felt unfair," gives them the scaffolding they need to regulate. Second, and this feels incredibly counterintuitive, offer a highly frustrated child a more difficult task, not an easier one. Handing them a complex puzzle or a task with real responsibility can focus their chaotic energy within minutes. And finally, act as a multi-level mediator. Support them exactly where they are across their uneven, asynchronous development. Now, intelligence without boundaries just produces frustration. Boundaries and safety absolutely still matter, for sure. But our goal here is to redirect their incredible exploratory drive into safe avenues. For example, giving them old electronics or cause-and-effect toys that they are actually allowed to dismantle. We want to guide that behavior rather than extinguishing that brilliant drive entirely. I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. The early years, when intelligence looks the most like pure, exhausting chaos, are frequently the very years that determine what that intelligence eventually becomes. So the next time you face a seemingly impossible toddler moment, take a breath and look closer at the thinking underneath it, because you might just be looking at genius. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep nurturing those brilliant minds.